What's up, everybody? I am really excited for you to listen to this episode with my intimacy coach, Lesley Taveneir. The reason I shout her name and her work from the rooftops everywhere I go because it is so revolutionary to what it is that we're being taught. And how I know that this is true is because I struggle with it every day. Because she and I will have our sessions, we'll talk, and I will get it, and it will feel so good in my body. It'll feel so correct. And then I will go on TikTok or I'll read something else, and I'll immediately go back to the place of, well, not even of anything that I don't want to be, that's not correct for me, that's transparency or yicky or whatever it is that I'm trying to move out of, right? Because I'm so inundated with the programming that we all have around men, and especially men that people consider fuckboys or emotionally unavailable. And her work is a completely different view and perspective of that. It's really a paradigm shift. And again, like how I know that that's true is because it's really hard to hold on to and maintain unless you're doing that work every single day, because society is just telling you the complete opposite. And the truth is, the complete opposite isn't getting us anywhere. It's not working. We need to try something different. So I'm so happy to be sharing her with you. I want you to prepare yourself for a perspective that you've never heard before. And yeah, this interview is really the epitome of what we believe and what we want to bring to you here at Undefined. So here you go. How are you?
I'm good. You look so good.
Thanks.
Good
I just got, I was just on TikTok, and the very first video that I saw was a woman teaching other women how to ask for what they need, like how to get a man to meet your needs in a way that was clear and direct.
Yeah.
And I was very devastated by the comments. It's because I'm in like my own little bubble doing the work. And I think that other women want to love men the way that I want to love them, or want to like get their needs met the way that I want to, or just want to be like loving and just compassionate. The comments were like, so talk to him like a child. If you mean clearly and directly, then yes, talk to him like a child. You know, like why wouldn't you state your thoughts? And then another one was like, that sounds like too much work. It sounds like a lot of work. I'm like, you sound like a lot of work. I said, you know what's too much work? Lubricating your uptight pussy all day long, because it's never gonna get fucked the way that you want or that you need, because you refuse to do the work. I just thought we had gotten farther than this, but I don't think that we have. And so I'm glad that we're talking today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad to be here.
Really, really important. Clearly. And I think that will come up because I know through my work with you that the reason we don't communicate directly and clearly is because we're afraid of being told no, or we're afraid of rejection, or we have shame around our needs and what we want, for our own reasons. And I get that they don't know that, but still.
Yeah. And in addition, like, a lot of women don't know what they want sexually.
Yes, absolutely.
They don't actually know. And then the other thing too is that a lot of women have asked for what they think they want, and then the man obliged.
Yes.
And they didn't enjoy it.
That wasn't it. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that they think that, like, what are they basing their wants off of, do you think? If they don't know, what do you think that they're basing their wants off of?
Porn. Porn, what they think that the man wants.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought about that the other day. I'm enjoying sex now because I'm not at all concerned with what he wants. Not in that moment, not in that moment. I didn't realize how much they love to make you happy.
Oh yeah.
Like
So
even
totally.
boys, especially them, like I've noticed, like they love it. They're not being selfish at all.
No. The so-called fuck boy is representative of the soldier archetype. So the thing with the soldier is they're all about sacrifice.
Yeah.
They're going to sacrifice everything to make sure that you get what you need sexually, right?
Truly. That's why we're dignitized. I want to talk about your background because I know that you have a background in sex work, and I also know, like, I'm curious how that led you here and kind of what that looked like. And so we could talk about what led you here and then what is here, you know.
Okay. How did sex work lead to where I am now?
Yeah.
Doing sex work for 3 years full time, I really got to see the sexual dysfunction amongst men. Like I got to see the illnesses, the high rate of prostate cancer and lymph node cancer, the high rate of men who are experiencing erectile dysfunction, the high rate of men that are taking Viagra or Cialis, and the extremely astonishingly high rate of men who say that they have premature ejaculation. Like, if I hadn't done sex work, I would have had no idea how extensive the situation really is.
And you think, well, what you're doing now, you think that you kind of understand why all of that, what, like the root cause of all of that, and what the answer is?
Yeah, it's that both men and women are sexually dysfunctional because most of my clients had wives and girlfriends. And so I was like, if these men are so unhealthy with their sexuality, then their wives and girlfriends are also unhealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you did that for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
How did you segue into, let's dive a little bit deeper. Like, what did that look like? Like, what was the day to day? And how'd you segue out of that into coaching?
Well, I wanted to do coaching initially, but I didn't have any confidence in being an online coach. Like I just did not have any clue how to even begin to do it. So, sex work was just a lot easier for me to enter into. Like I could wrap my mind around it. And, I would just advertise, on backpage.com, which is no longer functional because of the US government.
Yeah.
But that's where I would advertise. And, just like with online business, people would find me and they would contact me and we would negotiate the terms, what I am willing to do, what I'm not willing to do, what I allow, what I won't allow, and what are my fees. And if we come to an agreement, then we arrange to get together and we get together and we fulfill the transaction.
I love that.
Because it is a transaction, but it's, wow, like I really came to see how necessary that transaction was for a lot of men. And, not just because it was healing for them, but I came to see that it was healing for me. I gained a lot from it.
Yeah, I remember being in my marriage and like feeling like when it came time to have sex, it felt like this is one more thing he's taking from me. It never felt, it just never, and not that it didn't feel good, you know what I mean? Like that's not the case. And there's plenty of women that have experienced sex with my ex-husband and would agree, you know what I mean? But like, it was the context of it, and it was the unconsciousness of it, and it was his trauma and my trauma and me feeling like he's taking. And now that I'm looking at him, like he's such a giver. True, but I couldn't receive. So I think that that's kind of what is really the issue at the end of the day, is like getting our needs met, and then the receptivity and what that means. So what you're doing now, do you work with men still?
No, I work only with women online.
Got it. So how would you describe yourself? So I've described you as like a self-love, because I think it's mostly self-love and intimate relating coach. Is that how you would describe yourself?
Wow, that's a great question. It keeps evolving. I think at this point, I'm really helping women to like get in alignment with their real desire,
Yeah.
because like a lot of women are conflicted about their desire. So a lot of women desire, like sexually desire, men that they refer to as emotionally unavailable, as a fuckboy, as a narcissist. Like women sexually desire these men.
And then the kicker is that you have all of this shame
Mm-hmm.
around desiring them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I had. I'm like, what does that make me? Like, how weak am I? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't I? It's just all the shame around it, as opposed to just like, yes, my
Mm-hmm.
womb
Mm-hmm.
aches
Mm-hmm.
when I look at you. It could be your foot. I could be
Absolutely.
looking at your fucking shoe, but it's on your body and I'm aching for you.
Absolutely.
And then you go into like, what's wrong with me? Why do I want somebody like that? Like going into the judgment. And like
Oh my
that was so
Mm-hmm.
freeing for me,
Mm-hmm.
was the releasing of the judgment of them first and foremost, which then allowed me, I think it was that first. I think it always is for me. Like, it's always like
Yeah.
with the TARA, like the Tara, like how can
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think doing that with men
Yeah.
is making it easier to do with me for myself.
Totally. Totally. I My whole thing is your desire is good. So irregardless of what society says, irregardless of what your ego says, irregardless of what your rejection complex is saying, your desire for this man is good.
Okay. Yeah, 100%.
It's
I'm writing it
good.
down.
So as soon as you can acknowledge that and accept that my desire for this man is good, now we can start to get somewhere. But as long as you stay conflicted about it and you feel bad about it and you're trying to like manipulate him into like what you think he should look like and be like so that you could be okay with your desire for him, then you're going to stay stuck.
And the thing is, the minute they do, like, let's just say that they did
Mm-hmm.
become the thing that you wanted them to be, or do the thing that you wanted them
Yeah.
to do, they no longer are the man that you wanted to fuck in the first place. And then they become like a whole different thing, It's like, then you don't want to fuck him anymore. And then you want to go fuck
Totally.
Joey down the street. It's like, and then you didn't get what you wanted. It's like, and then you just spiral out 100%. What was the turning point for you with this, with men? Because I know you're you have a very close relationship with your womb choice, but it wasn't always like this. And
No.
I don't think you were always non-monogamous. And so like, what was the turning point for you?
There's so many turning points.
Well, I guess the first one would be like when you realized that the desire was good and that you weren't wrong for desiring this man.
Okay. When I first started to actually experience orgasms with him, like that's when I realized, you know what, I need this man, because before I came to my womb choice, I wasn't like, the only orgasm I knew how to have was clitoral.
Yeah.
Like I just could not comprehend how to have anything else but that.
Yeah.
Even though I did do monogamy for 11 years, like I didn't experience anything outside of clitoral orgasm. And so when I started to experience something beyond that with my womb choice, and this was long distance, because he worked with me over it wasn't Zoom back then, but it was some sort of video, maybe Skype at the time. And like just working with me long distance, I started experiencing energy orgasms.
Yes.
And that was like I remember like the first time that happened with him, like I was so terrified.
Ooh, girl.
Oh my God. Like I had to end
other male like healers and workers. Like I'm like it was opening me up.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. And
I literally like I had to end the call.
Yeah.
And then I just started crying.
Yeah.
And like, that's not to say that everything was perfect between us after that point, because it wasn't. We still went through a whole lot of shit. But from that point, I knew that I needed his medicine.
Yeah. So did you start out as a client?
I did.
What
I
are you,
did.
what
I
are you
came to him as a client because I was like, I've read all the books. I've tried everything. I don't know how to have like anything beyond a clitoral orgasm. Please help me.
Oh, so you went to him to have just a different type of orgasm,
I
or?
wanted to have a vaginal or like G-spot.
Yeah, we've
I wanted
talked
him
about
to
that.
teach me how to do that, but he taught me so much more, you know? Like
Yeah,
he just really opened me up. So,
amazing. So that was a bit, to me, like that would be like the moment you shift from like fuck boy, emotionally unavailable, you know what I mean, to, oh wow, he's healing me.
yeah, totally. Now he has a lot of women. You know, he's married. He has a lot of women. He could be classified as a fuckboy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but he's changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Why do you think that? Because I know it's just like a running joke. Everywhere you look, it's like emotionally unavailable.
mhm.
Fuck boy. It's like what, but why do you think there are so many of them?
Because there's so many women who need to be fucked
Yeah.
well, like millions upon millions
As long
of
as you
women.
need to be fucked well,
Hmm.
because you don't know what you need and you refuse to identify and ask for it, there will
Hmm.
be fuck boys because we are abundant and we get what we
Yeah.
need.
Yes, absolutely. They exist for a reason.
They do. I love them. Okay, so why do you think women need to be fucked, and why is there a need for fuck boys? Like, let's talk about the rejection complex
Yeah.
and, yeah, fuck boys as medicine.
Yeah. Because like the reason why a lot of women are holding on to control, okay, the reason why they are non-orgasmic, which is holding on to control, is because they've experienced some kind of trauma. You know, many women have been rejected by high school boys. And like
I couldn't
for
believe
many
how
of
many
us,
women were like, this exact thing happened to me. I'm like,
yeah,
well, why are there so many dickhead 11-year-olds asking girls out to fuck with them, first off? But I just couldn't
yeah,
believe how many women.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, at that age, these boys don't really know they don't know the damage that they're
No.
causing. They don't know what they're doing. But like we really internalize that
Yep.
big time, you know. Because when you're going through puberty, like you're very impressionable, you know, and your sex drive is at like its highest point, and you really actually, you know, you're genuinely attracted to this guy. You really do want to fuck him. You know that you want to fuck him even at age 12 or 13. And
Yeah.
then when he doesn't want you, like that imprint, it goes in so deeply, you know, and it fucks with you.
I wonder sometimes though,
Hmm.
if back then we had been confident, right? And we had, like,
Hmm.
I was never clear or direct with him. He didn't know.
Hmm.
Um, I was shy and insecure for all the reasons
Yeah.
that a 11 or 12-year-old. I wonder if had I been clear and
Hmm.
direct, that maybe it wouldn't have gone that way. Also, because
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been trying to
It would
provide
have
that
been
of
a whole
me.
different,
Yeah,
yeah, like if you were just like, if you understood that like he would be more than happy to make love to you because your desire for him is so strong and it's so genuine. If you actually understood that, then yeah, it would have turned out very differently.
and also just understanding how little boys, especially like in that puberty time, how they push, and they still push boundaries just to get your attention. Like, men don't care
Yeah.
if it's good attention or bad attention.
Hmm.
She's paying attention to me,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
maybe he really, like he hits her and then he runs
Well,
away.
there's also a lot of stuff going on with boys at that age and in high school. Like they're also under a lot of pressure. So
Yeah.
they might actually be open to connecting with the insecure, shy, maybe unattractive girl. They might actually be open to that, but there's so much pressure for them to go after, like, you know, the pretty girls,
Yeah.
the popular girls, the
Yeah.
sexy girls.
Yeah.
So like they haven't
More
been
than me.
taught either to really honor what they feel.
Yeah, it goes back to just like how we raise our boys, and it actually goes back, which not goes back to, but ties into probably the thing I want to talk about the next. Oh, it is exactly, literally right next after this, is what does it mean to be emotionally available? Right? So there's like, because we talk about how women are not, I am very available to my clients. I feel like I'm emotionally available, but like, I am not emotionally available to men. And I like to think that I am. I like to pretend. I like to like sit and listen. And I think I'm probably more than most, and I still don't think that I am. So let's talk about what it means to be emotionally available.
That's such a great question, because women use that term all the time to say that men are not emotionally available. But then when you ask them, okay, like give me some concrete examples of how he's not being emotionally available to you, then they get really weird. Because they know that once they start to give concrete examples, you know, it will be revealed that they're just talking a bunch of shit.
And also that these men are not just offering up their feelings and their heart, and like they're just not offering it up on a fucking silver platter. And it doesn't mean that, you know, it doesn't mean that he's not available. It means that you're not asking for what you need. And I think you and I had this conversation. I was telling you the story. It's like pretty much any time that I've ever messaged, and to actually any of them that I would consider a fuckboy, and I said, hey, I need to talk to you, or are you available to speak with, or I need this thing, or I need you. I think I talked about the situation where I was like, I am uncomfortable. I'm not going to be able to be intimate with you unless we have a conversation about like you as a human, me as a human. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. But these women are, I'm not going to say these women, I find that women, because then that sounds like it's us against them, and that's not the case. It's just, I find that women don't ask for what they need. They're waiting for men to just know and just give it to them.
No. Especially with the so-called fuckboys, when you ask them for something, you need to be very clear and direct. You know, and that's why I keep asking women, like, what is it specifically that you want to experience with this man? Like, spell it out.
Yeah, you've asked me that.
Don't give me some, like, I just want connection, and like, I just wanted to be emotionally, like, what do you mean? What specifically do you want to experience with this man?
And then it makes you like go inside and ask yourself, like, really, what do I want? Do I want him to go, do I just want him to go down on me? Do I just want to have an orgasm? Do I want him to ask me how my day was? And then you say, hey, it would feel really good to me. It would make me so happy.
Absolutely.
If you just checked in to ask me how my day was, and, you know, how does it affect them? You know, men love to also have value. Like, does it make sense for their life?
Totally.
How is that going to add value to their life? Because they're not going to do it for you if it doesn't add any type of value to their life. So if you ask me how I'm doing, and this makes me feel so good. And honestly, the more you ask me, the more I just want to like worship your cock, or I just want to like go down on you. They will ask you every day how you're doing.
It has to be a win-win. Yes. So if it's not a win-win, they will say no, and that's okay.
That's another
okay
thing.
If they say no.
That's okay if they say no, because there will be another there will be another man that's happy to do it. But you also have to be willing to like get what do you need, and what are you willing to provide?
Absolutely. So trying to remember my train of thought. There's so many things going through my head. as you were talking.
I'm just thinking about also women's trains of thought, and like they're probably listening to this thinking like,
Yeah.
I give men so much, like my presence is enough. Yes, absolutely. But here's the thing, when you are receiving when you're truly receiving what they're giving you, like when I'm really receiving it and I'm like I'm having an orgasm, I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. I want nothing more than to like just give him anything he wants.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't taking from me, I just receive. But when you're not receiving, it will feel like taking.
You have to read between the lines, you know. So a lot of times what women are saying on the surface, it sounds logical. Mm-hmm. But if you feel into the energy of what they're saying, a lot of women are control freaks.
Yeah.
So I'll give an example of this is actually what inspired me to say that an emotionally available woman can melt any man's heart. So I was chatting with a prospect and she was complaining that her man has erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know, you have the power to bring him back to life. And she was like, well, he was the same way with his 5 previous other girlfriends. So this has nothing to do with me. This is his problem. And I was like, well, you know, you can bring him back to life because that's what you're saying you want. And then she was like, well, like, I don't want to just have sex with him. Like I could have sex with any man. I want to have like a emotional heart connection. And I'm like, well, you know, you can have an emotional heart connection, vaginal intercourse experience with this man when you bring him back to life.
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, he, you know, he just doesn't want to open his heart. You know, he's just like, like his penis is separated from his heart, and you know, he just doesn't want to connect with me in that way. And so like like she just kept like excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. And I was like, okay, this woman is emotionally unavailable.
And you really think that's emotionally unavailable? Like you really think that he doesn't want to be like risen from the dead and like fuck that, you know what I mean? Like you really think that he doesn't want that? You know,
what
and I
that
think like
told me is
like, oh, she's just concerned with how she's gonna like I want him to give me what I want. I want an emotional connection. I want this. I want that. But one time you're like, but I need you to do this. She's like, absolutely not. That's too much work.
She doesn't actually want an emotional heart connection with this man or any man. She says that she does.
Because if she did, she'd have it.
Correct. That's why I say an emotionally available woman can melt any man's heart. If any man comes to me, and this has happened, and they say to me, I have erectile dysfunction, that's fine. I know how to deal with him.
Let's talk about it.
So,
how would you
know, I mean, he just needs some heart healing, you know, and so the easiest way to do that is to put my heart chakra, because in the palm of each hand you have, you know, something that corresponds to your heart chakra.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And just place my hand on his penis, especially around the head of his penis, which corresponds.
Like holding it, or just like on.
You can just like hold it in your hand, but if you can definitely arrange some way for the center of your palm, your heart chakra, to, I mean, it doesn't have to. I mean, you could let it rest anywhere on his penis, but especially if you can let it rest on the head of his penis, which corresponds to his heart meridian system in traditional Chinese medicine. Just rest it there. Don't do anything else. Just lay next to him. Just have your hand on his penis. Send love to his heart. He'll get hard.
I'm telling you, I actually have had men tell me that they typically can't do it like at a certain time, or for, you know, or can't get up during this context or whatever. Yeah. And through that, like just wanting to like help, you know, through the loving, they always have.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
That's why I say when you really practice TARA as a woman, trust.
What is TARA?
Okay, so it stands for trust, appreciation, respect, and acceptance.
Yeah.
If you feel any of those four things, you don't even have to feel all four, but even just one of them, genuinely, sincerely with a man, he is going to get an erection in your presence. Period, point blank. And a lot of women have gotten angry when they saw me say that or write that, because they felt that I was saying that it's they're responsible for his erection. And so they felt I was attacking them. And I was like, no, like, do you want your man to be erect in your presence or not? What do you want? Because I'm telling you how to do it.
No, they want it their way. I always say this to my clients. I'm like, do you want what you say you want, or do you want it the way that you think it needs to happen, the way it should happen? It's like, you obviously don't want it that bad. Because the things that all the things I've ever wanted, when I released like how I was going to receive them or how it had to go, it's the control. I always get it. I always get what I want. And it happens much faster when I'm in trusting that it's going to happen, when I'm in appreciation, and when I'm respecting the process and the person, and when I accept it for what it is.
Those four states are so powerful and feminine and orgasmic.
That's it for part 1 of my interview with Lesley Taveneir. Pop back in next week where we dive even deeper into how to really make a fuckboy fall in love with you, melt his heart, and get your needs met. We'll see you next week.